All right, let's fine tune our foot pressure and our foot tripod. This is the most common thing I'm going to cue people because it does clear up a lot of discomfort, a lot of things, a lot of issues during movements. It's the only thing in contact with the ground most of the time, so I can get my foot set up really, really well. It helps get everything up the chain, kind of doing the thing that we want. It helps make sure we're loading things the way we want. So to review the foot tripod, there's 3 points of contact, 4 points technically. We have our heel, the outside edge of our foot, like the final bone of our pinky toe there, and the base of our big toe, so the ball of your foot. The 4th point is your toes. These are the 3 main ones, and then the 4th one is your big toe. A common issue that I see for a lot of people is that they tend to have those points on the ground, but they're active, meaning they're grabbing the floor with their toes, or they're actively creating an arch, or they're trying to screw their feet in. That's not what I'm going for. If I do that, that makes my arch really stiff and tight, and that limits how my foot can move, which limits how my ankle can move, which limits how I can move my knee, which works its way up the chain into the hip and the back. I want my foot to be able to be solid and stable on the ground without actively grabbing, should be nice and relaxed. So I have the ability to flatten my foot and then create an arch just reactively based on where my weight is at and kind of what part of the motion I'm in. Okay? So let's review how we set up this foot, and then we're going to go into some more fine details for people depending on your foot shape and what type of foot you have. So the idea is I'm going to go find my heel, the outside edge of my foot, then I'm going to roll across my heel using my ankle and foot muscles to do this, rolling across my heel until the base of my big toe, the ball of your big toe, touches the ground, and then I just relax my toes down. Okay, so now I have my heel is the heaviest, my pinky toe and the ball of my big toe are both equal pressure, and my toes are just touching. That is the foot pressure I'm going for. Now, as I find that same spot here, and as I actually put weight onto that leg, you'll see my arch lifting and falling. My foot spreads out across the floor as I put weight into the ground. That's what we're looking for. I want that foot able to spread and come back up, turning it into like a shock absorber, a little bit of a spring. That's the natural position. That's the natural way our foot should move. I don't want big toe pushed into the ground. I don't want grabbing. I don't want screwing your feet in necessarily. There's times when those cues might be useful, but start here and we can always fine tune and add those little things in later. So as far as what type of foot you have, if you're somebody that has a little bit of a higher arch, somebody with a stiffer foot, you tend to be more on your toes. You always find yourself on the outside of your foot. Anytime you're doing single leg stuff, you tend to want to fall to the outside. What you need to focus on is the inside edge of your foot, and you need to over-exaggerate the shit out of it. Here's what I mean. Heel, pinky toe, use your ankle muscles to pull across to the ball of your big toe, and then what you're going to do is relax your toes down, and then to exaggerate this, you're going to keep rolling across your heel until you lose the outside edge of your foot. Now that is too far, and you're going to slowly back off until the pinky toe just barely touches the ground. That is where you're going to perform stuff, right? So now I feel really aggressively heavy on the inside edge. It might feel like your knee is way to the inside. It might feel like you're pulling your everything really far in and you feel like it's too far. I promise you it's not. As long as you can still feel the pinky toe touching the ground, you are not too far in. This is too far in. See how my knee is now inside of my ankle? My pinky toe came off the ground and my pinky toe is actually cramping. But as I go down and touch my pinky toe back to the ground, my foot fully relaxes. My knee is just directly over top my ankle. Now, I'm just focused on maintaining that heaviness on the inside edge of my foot without losing the pinky toe. And just standing here, I already feel my quad working. But from there, I can actually just focus on using that range of motion as I go up and down. And that makes me load through my big muscle groups. I feel a lot of quad and I feel a lot of glute as I did that. Okay? So if you are somebody that struggles to keep the inside edge of your foot down, you're always on the outside edge, you struggle to feel your glutes. The common thing with this. You're always feeling calves work and get tight. You need to focus, double down on feeling the inside edge of your foot and make sure your heel is heavy on the ground. Okay? If you are somebody that has a flatter arch, a more flat foot, somebody that tends to fall to the inside, your knee always wants to come way inside of your leg, you might be somebody that needs to focus a little bit more on making sure the pinky toe side of your foot stays down. So the setup will be the same. Heel, go find your outside edge. You're going to pull your foot across using your ankle and foot muscles to get that big toe in contact and just barely in contact, and then relax down, and that's going to be kind of where I start from. That's going to make you, if I'm biasing the outside edge of my foot a little bit more and making sure the big toe's still touching, that will help me bias towards having an arch already. So if you don't have an arch, this is what helps you create an arch, that foot position or that foot pressure. Now from there, I have the ability to start, as I put weight through my leg, my big toe will get heavier, and my goal is to not lose the pinky toe. That will help your foot spread across the ground and now lose your arch into your normal flat position. And then as I push back up, same thing, you're trying to push back into that same outside edge heavy position, okay? And again, these are not huge dramatic changes in your position, they just feel dramatic. It's as simple as this is kind of the middle. If I make my outside edge heavier, it's literally this. If I go back to the middle, it's there. If I go back to the inside edge, it's there. There's a very tiny change in my knee position because I'm not swinging my knee around to do this. I'm using my actual ankle to get these positions. I'm getting very subtle changes, and all of these are totally fine. My knee is over top my ankle, over top my foot. These are all fine. But if I have a bias to be on the outside edge of my foot, that does change how well my knee can bend and how well I can load my hip and how well my ankle bends. So I want to make sure I'm biasing the inside edge a little aggressively to make sure I can use those motions that I don't normally access. Same thing goes for the opposite. If I have a flat foot, you're always using the inside edge of stuff. Can I make sure I bias the outside edge so I start with a little bit more space that I can go into those positions and then come out of them? Okay? So in one case, we're trying to access positions we don't normally access. In the other case, we're trying to start from a position so we can then go into the positions we normally access and then come back out of it. That is kind of the overall breakdown of the foot pressure. Again, it's a simple thing, those 3 points of contact, but how you are doing it and fine-tuning it can make all the world of difference for how movements feel, how comfortable they are, getting things away from your back and more into your leg, making sure you feel the big muscle groups working and not little pinpointy stuff within the joints. This is always the first thing I'll go back to. If you're feeling uncomfortable with a motion, first thing is, 1, is it too much weight? Are you moving too fast? 2, get your foot pressure set up. Play with that a little bit. Do I need to exaggerate that a little bit more today? Make it more aggressive on the inside edge. Do I need to be more aggressive onto my heel? Do I need to be more aggressive on the pinky toe? Like, play with those things and see if that makes a difference first.